Hey, how you guys doing? It's Money Coach Mary Al and David Smith here with Real Talk at the Round Table. Hey, how you guys doing?
We have a powerful
It's
guest
Money
tonight.
Coach Mary Al
Susan McNeice
and
is
David
joining
Smith
us,
here
and
with Real
she's
Talk at
going
the
to
Round
talk
Table.
about
Hey, how you
life
guys
after
doing?
retirement. Powerful
And
guest. David, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sorry about that. A small technical difficulty for everybody out there. We should be back into place now. Yes, I am David, and we have our special guest, Susan, here.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, David. Hi,
Sure.
everyone. My name is Susan McNeice, and yes, I am retired, sort of. But I want to talk to you tonight about what it means to maintain personal growth, even after you hang up your W-2s and put away your work tools and look forward to that life of fishing or boating or playing with your grandchildren or whatever it is that you look forward to in retirement. So let's talk a little bit about what it means to be retired. And then I have a few, maybe a little off center ideas about what it really means to be
Oh, I
retired.
can't wait.
So, by the way, I run my own financial coaching business, Pathfinder Financial Coaches, and we're all about helping people in all phases of life to get their financial house in order and prepare themselves for a dignified retirement. So, just about everybody from about age 35 up starts to look at, okay, what's it going to mean to be retired? And, just in casual conversation, that typically means something like, okay, well, I'm not going to work, or I'm going to work a whole lot less, or I'm going to shift the kind of work I do. And, whether you stop work altogether or just shift into a different type of work really is your personal choice. And it's probably a function of a lot of things. If you're like me, you can't sit still. And so the idea of just sitting around is just so unappealing. And so I said, no, that's not going to happen. So for me, it was about shifting into a little bit different direction. But, for a lot of people, it means, okay, I'm going to stop working and I'm going to not have paid employment. That's kind of the key ingredient for a lot of people is the notion of paid employment. And so they say it's about retirement, it's about rest, it's about relaxation. In doing a little preparation, I came across that as the 3 R's of retirement. And I immediately bristled at that idea because, again, I didn't want to sit around and just do nothing. Not really much of a TV consumer, so I wanted to do something that was just a different form of an occupation. And so I want to propose a different kind of 3 R's. So instead of rest and relaxation and retirement, I want to propose that we look at renewal, rediscovery, and reinvention as our 3 R's. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what I think that means and how you might make it work for yourselves.
So,
Cool.
Susan, I actually had a client that when they retired, they cashed in their house, sold it, and they actually went on a cruise ship, and they lived the rest of their life on a cruise ship.
Oh,
Because
yes.
when you're constantly, it's actually cheaper to be on a cruise ship than it is to actually live at home because all your meals
Hmm.
are included.
That's right.
And when you're continual, the price gets cheaper because you're a long term guest.
Of course.
You
Of
know,
course.
so retirement for you, what does that look like? Are you living the good life? Are you doing traveling? Are you, I know some people, they get an RV and they just travel wherever they go.
Yes. I have a dear friend who did that. She had a health incident in her late 50s, and it was a bit of a wake up call for her. So she retired from her business as a chief information officer of a major firm here in the Washington D.C. suburbs. And not long after, her husband saw how she was enjoying herself, and he put in his papers as well. They then
nice.
they kept their house, but they purchased an RV and they traveled throughout the U.S. for a period of 3 years, just stopping wherever the heck they felt like it.
Wow.
Making right, and I know they're not the only ones,
Right.
but they did that for 3 years, and then his parents, they were quite elderly, and their health issues were catching up with them, and so they then resettled in Pennsylvania, where they are, avowed Penn State football fans, so they get to go to but they take the RV and go to the games when they're at home. But and they're loving it. They love every minute of it. It wasn't really what I had thought of. My husband and I talked about retirement for a long time, and it took on a little bit different form at first. I retired just as we were coming out of COVID, so June of 2022. Let me back up a little bit. My adult life career was mostly in IT for the telecom industry. And I loved it. And I did both project management and systems analysis and all those kinds of good things. And then switched over to marketing, where I was actually writing papers and speaking at conferences about things going on in the telecom industry. Geeky and boring to most, but for me, it was good. So then I left there in 2017 and said, what to do? And it was my husband who encouraged me to, get yourself in that classroom, lady, because you've always been kind of a teacher and running classes in your professional life and teaching people. You're good at it. You love it. So I did. I went and got my Virginia secondary license, and I started teaching personal finance in public schools.
Wow.
Now, lucky for me and for the circumstances, in Virginia, one has to pass a personal finance course in order to get a high school diploma. Pretty cool, right? In fact, there are 29 or 30 such states that have signed on for that initiative and are moving forward to make it a regular part of high school education, which I for one, think is phenomenal.
Agreed.
It really is essential. These are life skills, aren't they?
Absolutely.
So, but that's what ignited my passion for personal finance. And as a trained economist, I couldn't resist. So it has been several years now since that occurred. But instead of teaching in the public high schools, I actually switched over and started my own. I retired from the education in 2022 and then moved over to starting my own business, where I do a lot of the same, where I teach personal finance and budgeting and economic skills and how to manage your mortgage and all of those wonderful things to adults. And it's incredibly rewarding. So that's what it looks like for me, but I don't do it full time. And when I'm not doing that, I'm doing one of two other things: traveling with my husband. We're big college football fans, and so we like to go to college football events. And we also like to travel. We have kind of joined the cruise world and have found that a very pleasurable way to travel. And so it's either that or we play with our two wonderful grandchildren who happen to live close by. So that's what it looks like for us, and it is fantastic.
Won't hold the football against you, because Michigan University and Michigan State are the number one college football. Michigan State because I might have gone there.
Well, not this year, my friend. Sorry to say, it's those Buckeyes in the next state east from you, but it's okay. It's all right.
Next state east would be Michigan State.
Or Indiana and then Ohio, yeah. But Ohio State seems to be seems to be taking all the accolades right now. But nonetheless, so let's look at what this looks like in the US. What does retirement look like? We know that on average, people retire around 62, 63 in this country. And yet there are still a lot of workers who will tell you, even if they're in their 50s, oh, I absolutely plan to work past 65. Now, perhaps in my parents' day or grandparents' day, that wasn't a known kind of conversation. But today it is. And there are a couple of reasons why.
Well, the funny thing is, I like
what's
how you
that?
said that because you go to Walmart, you see a lot of people that should not be there. They should be, the greeters, they should be retired. You go to McDonald's, the people cleaning, you see a lot of people that should be retired. So you see
Indeed.
it in the workplace. You see many people that really should not be there.
You're so right. And it has become so commonplace to see the over 60 and over 70 crowd in retail locations and other kinds of instead of volunteering at the library or volunteering at the hospital, they continue to seek paid employment, but they do it in probably the retail sector or other parts of our economy.
Right.
It has become so commonplace that the pundits will say to you, we have a retirement crisis in this country. And I did look up a couple of little stats about retirement that we've all heard, but frankly, I think it bears repeating. Nearly 50%, 58% of retirees rely on Social Security as their only source of income. And
That's why I love how, as a financial coach,
yes,
helping people so they set up retirement before they get to it because we
Oh my
can't
gosh.
rely on the government.
You shouldn't. And in fact, it got to be a joke that in my high school classes, I mean, I'm talking about kids who are 16 and 17, some of whom have not even had their first after school job. And I'm talking to them about retirement, cue the eye roll. But I'd say, listen to me. I'm going to harp on this whole year, and there's a reason why. It takes a long time to build up that fund so that you can retire with dignity and have the ability to do the things you want to do. The days of everybody getting a pension from the factory are long over. And so the number of people who actually get pensions is really quite limited. And even if they do, that may not be enough. So let's think about this. The average Social Security check in this country is less than $2,000 a month, just under $2,000.
Yep.
That's $24,000 a year at most for a single individual, which we also know
is like 50,000.
It's below the federal poverty level, for goodness sake, right? So yes, you're right, David. Even with a couple, if they both got that amount, they're still not doing all that well, and certainly well below the median household income in this country, which is up around $75,000, $78,000 now. So, and that's just to live a regular, ordinary life, and nothing fancy, right? And so the idea that you're going to rely on Social Security is just a non-starter, isn't it?
Correct.
And some of us, by the time we retire, it won't even be there.
Well, I remember having those conversations myself. Now it is here, but once they take out for Medicare, holy smokes, it really your check gets to be quite teeny. So yes, you absolutely have to have something supplemental. So back to my high school students, I would just bug them to death about this and say, repeat after me. You can't retire on Social Security alone. And I made them kind of chant it. And we did this 3 or 4 times throughout the year. And, they were like, oh, God, gee, it's crazy. But I'm just
kind of sounds like one of the things that, because, we work with a lot of Ramsey coaches.
Sure.
And some Ramsey coaches, they rely 100% on Ramsey. And we tell them all the time, you can't rely just on this stuff from Ramsey. You got to do your own stuff too.
Be smart.
And
Be
it's the
smart.
same thing with the kids.
Yeah. Yes. Have that three-legged stool where you've got avenues into other places, right? You don't put up a suspension bridge with just one strut. You have to have multiple sources of support.
Right.
So too with your retirement life. And so even for those who have retirement savings now, in the US, the average is this a median? Yeah, the median retirement savings for people in the 65 to 75 age range is only $200,000. Well, if you look at 5% interest, let's just say, that's not exactly bringing home the bacon. That's $10,000 a year, friends. You can't live on that plus your little 24 Social Security. Again, that's a really meager existence.
So let me ask you a question, Susan.
Yes, sir.
With what you just said, retirement savings, is that 401ks or that IRAs, or is that a combination of both?
That's an awesome question. It can be really any combination of things. Most employers today offer some kind of a sponsored retirement program, such as a 401k in the commercial world, or a 403b if you're in education or nonprofit. Other kinds of nonprofits will have something called a 457. These are, of course, the numbers are all labels that we use, because what they really do is refer to sections of the law in which they're enshrined. But these programs allow people to take pre-tax earnings and then over a period of many years port that over into a savings plan that's run by an administrator. And that could be somebody like a Fidelity or a Vanguard, a Schwab. There are lots of other companies that do that, and they're good at it.
I love how you brought up Schwab, because Vanguard and Fidelity, they're main companies. And then there's one more. But Schwab actually uses those main companies.
Yes, I had my experience, just by virtue of who I worked for, happened quite often to be Fidelity. But, I certainly had a time in my life where all my 401k assets were in Vanguard funds. The good news about that is today, the ability to make choices about where you invest those funds resides largely with the employee. And so you can work with a financial counselor at a Fidelity or somebody like that and say, listen, I want you to help me understand. I'm this age. These are my circumstances. I have this many children. My wife's working or not working, whatever it is, right? And you can have them help you carve out a vision for your retirement. And then you begin to start plowing your money into every pay period into that. Now, the good news is that money comes out of your check before your check is reduced by tax withholdings. And so the good news about that is this all goes in tax-free. The notion being that when you retire, then you will have a bundle of money that you can draw down, and you will pay the taxes at that time. So they're tax deferred, and you can pay at a lower rate, presumably. For most people, that means, since you're going to be making probably less in your household, you'll pay at a lower income tax rate. So that's really a tremendous benefit. Not to mention the fact that starting in, the 80s, Senator William Roth of my home state of Delaware actually championed what's now known as the Roth plan, the Roth 401k and the Roth IRA. And that plan originally was set up for lower wage earners, but now is available to everyone up to a certain threshold of annual income. And that money is a little different in that it is after tax. So after all your withholdings are taken out.
What do you like better? Traditional 401k or IRA or Roth 401k or IRA?
Well, I like them both. And I think if you have an opportunity, you should take advantage of both for a couple of reasons. It kind of allows you to play both ends against the middle. I came from a generation where we didn't have a Roth option, right? And then it just became, I reached a point in my career where it wasn't feasible for me to use a Roth. We hadn't really started with all the backdoor conversions and the tools we have available to us now. But I love the
Door
Roth
conversions. What are we talking about?
I'm sorry. When you have a bundle of money in a Roth savings plan, or if it's not in a Roth savings plan, let's say it's in a traditional tax-deferred 401k, you can actually convert it to a Roth plan. And the difference is, so the 401k is tax-deferred, the Roth is tax-free.
So let me ask you a question.
Make that investment until after you pay your taxes. Yes.
So you keep saying Roth is a savings plan where traditional is tax deferred. Is
That's
it better to tax defer and then have to pay tax on everything? Or is it better to pay the tax now so later on I don't pay tax on all the money I've earned?
Well, that's why I like using both, and one can in a lot of circumstances, because even if your employer doesn't offer any Roth options, you can go down and make your own. You go to your own bank or your own brokerage, or call up the kids at Fidelity and say, "I want to start up a Roth IRA. That's an individual retirement account, and I can do that on my own, and I can save starting next year. I think it's up to about $8,000 a year." I mean, it's not everything, but it's not chump change if you do it for 35 years.
Right.
Right. So yeah.
That's why I just got done doing I put together a teenage curriculum, young adults, and I just took a group through, and I was teaching them about how you guys are starting to get little W-2 jobs. So now you have that W-2, open that Roth now.
Sure,
And
why
then
not?
by the time you retire, you'll be multimillionaires. And they were like astounded. And their parents came back to me and they're like, we had no idea. I'm like, Money Coach Mary RN. Oh.
Money Coach Mary, that's why we call you. Yes, that's exactly right. You know, the trick we all three know, and many of our colleagues in this business know, it's really the success formula, the secret sauce is so much less about the dollars and cents. And it's really about the behavior and building those habits, which is why I kind of harped on it with my teenager students to say, start now. If you get an after school job, start now. It doesn't have to be all the money in the world. I mean, it could be $20 a month, but start now because you want the habit. And we all know from our psychologist friends that habits take a minimum of 90 days to build. And of course, you must reinforce them. So yeah, this is an important set of behaviors to encourage people to take on. Now, I came out of the generation where we kind of converted from the old pension systems to the do your own 401k thing. And so the people my age are wildly confused, frankly, in a lot of cases. And then I think that's where people like us come in to help dispel the mystery, right?
Agreed.
And as I would tell my high school students, look, there are a lot of intimidating terms. Sometimes I think people do that on purpose, but
absolutely,
they don't have to be intimidating. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to make it plain English. We're going to talk about it and see how it is applied in everyday life. And trust me, you're going to come out of this at the other end of the school year, not knowing everything, but knowing enough and knowing how to ask good questions and where
Right.
to get help.
That's the important thing. How to ask those good questions and where to go for help. And how to
ask
have those
questions.
conversations.
And ask questions and stay up with the changes, because every year there are new offerings, new
Right.
takes on how we can save for retirement. So yeah, can't reinforce that enough. Start now.
We had high school kids come to our Toastmasters group a couple weeks ago. And that was one of the things I asked them because I was preparing for a workshop I was doing. And I asked them, I was like, look, when I was growing up, we didn't talk about money. I would never know if we had money or not. We had food on the table, clean clothes. Did we go on fabulous vacations? No. Our fabulous trips were driving across Missouri to Kansas City to see my cousins.
Yes. Yes.
And I asked them, how many of your parents talk to you about money? 90% of them raised their hand. And I thought, okay, maybe there's starting to be a little shift.
That's goodness. That's goodness. I mean, certainly in Victorian society, that was considered, gauche. It was déclassé. You don't do that. It was rude. But within the confines of a home and a family, I mean, you don't talk about it in front of your company. But when you're just, mom, dad, and the kids around the dinner table, we should be talking about it. I was fortunate to have a father who, while not having had a ton of formal education, really got it in terms of money. And he explained compound interest to me. He explained how that can work to the positive and to the negative, right? Works to the positive when you're saving and works to the negative when you are borrowing. And that's the other thing about retirement. Part of the retirement success playbook should include reducing to the maximum extent possible, or even eliminating all your debt.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not reasonable for everybody, but you really have to make a serious effort to get rid of debt. Try to pay off the mortgage. Try to get that. Definitely, don't go out and buy another pickup truck. Get some good, reliable cars and stick with them. Pardon me. That's part of the secret formula that's not very secret to success in retirement. But I want to pivot to something that goes along with this, because we do have an enormous number of people in this country who think there is a retirement crisis, and for them there is, because they are still in debt, because they feel they must still work. There's also something known as the 3Ds of retirement. And these are the sad ones. And those 3Ds include divorce, depression, and decline. Now, we know that depression is the medical community will tell you that's a common occurrence in older people. And it's not strictly just about, how you feel and your emotional state. It also is exacerbated by biochemistry, just the fact that you are aging.
Yes.
So it is not uncommon. And people who work in, assisted living and other kinds of care facilities will tell you depression is extremely commonplace. And so this tells me that one of the things I have to do in retirement, and I'm committed to it, is to make sure that I go back to my 3 R's of retirement, right? So this is renewal, rediscovery, and reinvention. And I want to give you a couple of just ideas about what that looks like, at least to me, and how you might, and how our audience might consider ensuring that they have a retirement that's not just financially secure, but emotionally secure. And that includes doing things like, hey, this is your time to pick up new hobbies or spend more time with hobbies you have. For example, I have a sister who is very involved in an organization in her town that sews blankets, flannel blankets, and little drawstring bags for children who are hospitalized in order to recover from cleft palate surgery. And so these come from often really financially challenged families. And so when these children leave the hospital, they have a blankie and they have a little bag to take all their possessions home in. And she makes dozens and dozens and dozens of these every year. And that is her feel good project. I beg your pardon. So there's nothing that says that we can't invest in a hobby to kind of renew our sense of community.
Sure.
Too frequently, community gets kicked to the curb when we are, hair on fire, building careers, driving kids to soccer matches. We all know the drill.
Mhm.
And we want to make sure we reinvest in community. I think one of the greatest inventions of the last 25 years or so has been Facebook, social media. I have reconnected with old friends from as far back as first grade. And even if I don't get to see them all in person, we've at least had a chance to chat or DM, exchange phone numbers, and chat on our own and just get reacquainted. And we've had more fun doing that.
You said a key point. Fun in social media. Speaking of which, we are at half point. Just like how you said you love football. Well, football has halftime. We are at halftime. What that means, ladies and gentlemen, is first of all, we'd like to make an announcement at this point. Now, some great things are coming forth. Next Wednesday, at 1:30 Eastern Time, we have a marketing Q&A that is complimentary. You will want to show up. The link for it is in the description below. We're giving something special away for every single person that shows up. And also, next week at this same time, we're moving into a live cast. So you've noticed some features that we're doing a little bit different today. We have the chat along the side. We've had some technical difficulties as we were trying to do the chat. These are some of the things that is going to be great. We're always trying to improve. We're always trying to get better. So you will definitely want to show up next Wednesday because I'm going to give you a little secret. We're going to give every single person that shows up here next Wednesday something special. And you will want to receive it because it's not going to be given any other time but here on this show. So with that being said, yeah, you want to be here live for both the Q&A and this very same show here. With that being said, we're going to keep going right into it. So anybody that's in the chat, which we do have a few people in here, make sure that you bring your questions in and we will bring them live. Now, once in our podcast, and we've been on the air more than a year. July of this past year was 1 year. So we've only had one person get stumped. So my challenge to you right now is, can you stump Susan? Bring your questions and try to stump Susan.
Uh-oh.
Bring it, y'all.
All right.
So
She's ready.
we'll continue this conversation, and then
Okay.
as the questions pop in, we'll bring them
jump
live.
in. All right, great. So this sounds like the old Tonight Show with Johnny Carson when they would have Stump the Band, right? So
We actually had one guest. We never had it that way, but we actually had one guest that actually got stumped by a question, and it was totally awesome. It was a very good question, and so ever since then, we've been like, "Oh, can you stump the guest?"
sure, why not? Let's give it our best shot.
And it's always based on whatever the topic they decide. Because the topics are always done by the special guest. They pick the topics. And the questions are always based on the topic. So it was kind of cool that the guest actually got stumped. And if you want to know what episode that is, you got to keep listening to them and figure out which episode.
All right. Good. Well, I'm showing up next Wednesday for that marketing session, David. You can bank on that. That sounds great. So So okay, as we wait for questions, and let's carry on with this idea of, get back in touch with old friends, reconnect, even maybe with cousins, people you were fond of as a child, but everybody kind of went apart, um, into the, geographically or emotionally or both. Volunteering is an awesome way to really just give back to your community. Do you all remember years ago there used to be an organization called, or there was an organization called SCORE, SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives, I think is what it was called. Well, guess what? It's still out there. So let's say you were the financial genius in your company for 25 years. Well, go to score.org and see how you can be of assistance to a small business owner in your area. You're giving back, you're sharing the wealth, you've earned your position as a financial guru. Bring it and help other people bring their business along. And no matter what your skill set. Lifelong learning is also something that in the educational circles is really prized, always has been. Lots of industries have continuing education requirements, certainly law, medicine, education, lots of other domains that you have to keep up with. Well, why not just take some courses you like? A lot of universities, I beg your pardon. It's getting dry. It's November. A lot of universities will offer very low cost, or in some cases, no cost courses. Maybe you were always dying to take art history, but because you were a finance major, you didn't have time. Now's your time. This is it. Now's your time. Go take those courses. And again, they're often as a gesture of goodwill to the community. They'll make them either free or low cost. Community colleges do the same thing.
Yeah.
If you want to do part-time work, do part-time work. I have many lawyers in my family, and I noticed that two of them decided that instead of just retiring cold turkey, what they would do is wind down their practice over a period of 5 to 7 years. And they just took fewer and fewer clients, right?
Nice.
One brother-in-law decided that instead of running his own firm with all the administrative headaches that go along with that, he closed up shop and went to work for the state as a public defender.
Okay.
So they took care of all the HR and admin, and he could focus on representation.
He just attorney.
Yeah. And so they just wound down their practices over a period of time. Medical professionals can do that too. Nurses, lots of other people. And so, I'm sorry, was that a question or? No. Okay.
I've done that.
She is an RN.
That's right. That's right.
You might want some water.
I think I'm going to, pardon me.
Speaking of being dry, it's funny because, I was in Tennessee and they don't know what snow is. And I came up here to Michigan just recently and I said, this year I'm going to have a white Christmas. And they were like, don't curse that on us because they get snow all the way up into March. And they were like, don't curse that on us. We've already had snow here in Michigan. And I was like, well, no, we're going to have a white Christmas because I haven't had a white Christmas in a long time and I want a freaking white Christmas.
And by golly, I want it.
And so they're like, we had one already. It's starting to get nicer. When I say nicer, I mean today is like 40 degrees. They're actually talking about snow through the night, but whatever. I'm like, well, we need to have a white Christmas. I don't care if it gets nice afterwards. We have to have a white Christmas. One of the things I love about snow is if you're thirsty, go out, grab some. As long as it's not yellow, just scoop it up and,
Words of the wise.
Yeah, it's good.
Right.
So, there's a lot of stuff you can do. There's no question that you can either reinvent yourself and turn 90 degrees and go in a totally different direction, or just rekindle things that you used to enjoy. Practice gratitude. I love this idea of you know, get reconnected with people you know. How about the people in your community? How about in your church or synagogue? Why not reconnect with the many, many ministry groups that churches maintain? Um, Pick one that feels appealing to you and dive right in. There's no shortage of opportunity. There's just no lack.
Right.
And also make sure you're taking care of yourself physically, emotionally. Of course, you're going to be spending more time as a retiree visiting the doctor, but that's okay. Use it as an opportunity to just keep tabs on your own well being. Staying out of depression in retirement means staying focused on be busy, be active. It will make you so much happier.
So I have a question for you, Susan.
Yeah.
Money's not a question. You have unlimited money. What do you
That's
want to
news.
do? What do you want to do in retirement? Money's not an issue.
Money's
What do you
not an
want to
issue.
do?
I'm doing it. Financial coaching. I just, as I told you, the high school teaching experience ignited a passion for this. And it's flexible enough that I can work with people. I can run classes on Saturday, Sunday nights or Tuesday nights or whatever I want. And then I can also, go off, and if I want to play pickleball on Tuesday mornings, then I can do that too.
So you like pickleball?
Well, it seems to be we are retiring to a beachfront community, so it's kind of a requirement.
So let me ask you a question. Being that you
Yeah.
went to a beachfront community, not just a community, you had to say beachfront. What is a beach to you? Now, some people say as long as it has sand, it's a beach, and some people
We're
say
gonna
it
go
has to be
there,
the
are we?
ocean.
Yes. Well, I'm a Mid-Atlantic girl, and so we're a little snobby about our crab cakes and our beaches, and we like the Atlantic Ocean, or certainly
Atlantic, not the Pacific.
the Delaware Bay, or no, it's too cold, doggone it. I like that nice warm Gulf Stream water, right? And so we like our Chesapeake Bay and our Delaware Bay as well. And certainly there are many other places, but that's the beach. And when my daughter and I went to Northwestern University years and years ago to take a look at different schools, she had listed that as one of her potentials. And so we went to Chicago, drove to Evanston, so on, and they said, and we have a beach. And Allison and I looked at each other and said, "Oh, okay." And sure enough, they had
That's not a beach.
Yeah, they had some trucked in sand on the shore of Lake Michigan with half a dozen Adirondack chairs, and we said, "That's not a beach."
Well, actually, I would disagree
But I
with
do
you.
understand you all have some significant sand dunes.
I'll tell you why. Lake Michigan is the ocean.
It is.
It's as deep as the ocean. Plus, if you go from the Atlantic Ocean, it actually connects Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, Lake Superior. It's all part of the ocean.
Right.
So, like in Michigan, we actually have the ocean.
I have to say, okay, whatever you want to tell yourself. David.
Right, exactly.
Well, if you look, like the ocean comes here, and it goes down. It actually goes through, like
Seaway. That's right.
yeah, it literally connects. Now we don't have sharks, but we could. A shark could swim through.
They could. Listen, don't never say never, because frankly, the great whites are making their way up
Right.
to the Mid-Atlantic, and in fact, friends of ours in Cape Cod have seen great whites.
Really?
So that's frightening. But the so what of retirement is, it really can be a positive experience, but you have to treat it as an opportunity and not a burden. Even if you are in a financial position where you have to keep working, you don't have to, one hopes you don't have to continue to work full time, and find ways to use the remainder of that time to reinvest in yourself, in your education, in your well-being, in all kinds of other activities that will give you pleasure, give you satisfaction.
So my
And
question to you
obviously, yes, sir.
is, speaking of activities bringing you pleasure, I know you
Mhm.
love coaching, but what kind of activities do you enjoy?
Well, pickleball. If I ever get an opportunity, I'd certainly love to try and connect with golf. My golf game is hideous, but that could be fun as well.
What's stopping you?
Just haven't done it. Just haven't done nothing stopping me, quite frankly. Um,
Yeah, it sounds like something stopping you. What is that?
Fear and uncertainty and doubt. I don't know.
You.
Me, just me. That's exactly right. So, touche. It's a point well taken. It's about get back out there, pick up those clubs, and be terrible at it, and then laugh at yourself.
I can say
And
one
then
thing.
you're going to get less and less terrible.
I can say one thing. When I play golf, I'm not a person you want to play golf with if you're playing golf.
Okay.
I have power. I can drive it, but as we start to get close, I have too much power,
You
and
got to rein
I
it
will take
in.
100 shots for one hole because I can shoot at a distance, but I can't shoot it close.
Understood. Short game. Got it.
I haven't got
Yeah.
that knack yet of both.
Well, I have taken lessons over the years, and one of the things I discovered was that I had great direction, nice and straight. Not a lot of distance, not the world's biggest distance, but nice and straight. And I thought, you know what? If I can keep that,
Right.
I'm
That's
ahead.
the key.
I'm
Right.
ahead. Yeah. So
If you go to
it
Top
was,
Golf, where they actually, measure your distance and stuff, I'm usually one of the top people. I can usually shoot it pretty far. I can sometimes I'm number one and sometimes I'm a little bit down, but I'm always in the top percentages because that's where I'm good at. I can drive it.
it's those 12 putts that are killing you, right?
Anything close,
Yeah.
If we're
Yeah.
sitting at one point and seeing who can go the furthest, I'm there.
You're it. Yeah. That's funny. But think about this: golf, tennis, a lot of other pursuits, be they physical or intellectual. They're never just a one-timey thing, right? And you get better over time, as Mary said so well. You just get less bad, and have fun and laugh at yourself and enjoy it. And retirement's the same prescription. It is not a one-timey thing. You don't just retire and say, click, okay, now I'm retired. It's a process. It's going to take time. It's going to take a while for you to change your thinking and change your routines. So change them up. Why not?
You say a key
You know?
factor because any job that you have a very stressful or high adrenaline, like cops, when they
Sure.
retire, shortly after they're dead because their body is always so high in adrenaline that when they calm down, the body doesn't know how to react.
Yes.
So when you get those stressful jobs, I think it's key that, okay, if I'm a cop, when I retire from a cop, I need to get another job to be able to start to calm down so that I don't have I'm working here and then I'm not working. I think there's that you need to bring it down. So I'm a cop. Now I'm working at McDonald's. Now I can go and retire, or not necessarily McDonald's, just something, something easier pace.
Do something, because without it, you are at risk for depression. That's what's so essential about this. You are at risk for depression, which has medical corollaries to disease conditions. You don't want that. Yes, we are all going to die. That's absolutely the fact. But but you can do things to help solve that. You can do things to take care of yourself. And now is your opportunity. Do that and do it every day, right? one of the things that we've done is get really smart on things like supplements and vitamins and nutritional content of certain kinds of foods. And well, if I need more potassium or I need less potassium or I need more vitamin K, whatever it is, use this time as an opportunity to go out and do your reading. And in fact, my husband and I have both done that. And we've actually enjoyed kind of studying together and using that as a way to say, okay, we're going to introduce more cabbage into our salads because it's good for both of our health profiles, those kinds of things.
Right.
But and find ways to kind of, what's the word? Let go of the work life. One person I know likes to say, get rid of your uniform, your work uniform. So all those old suits that you had, you know what? There are so many organizations that will take your old suits, men's and women's, right? And repurpose them for people who are entering or re-entering the job market. Give it away.
Right.
Give it away.
You're not going to use it. Why not?
You're not going to use it. My girlfriends and I have had, tear-filled laughing at why do I have all those suits? Get rid of that stuff. I don't need it. Let somebody else use it. So yeah, those are the things that one can do. But choose to make it a good life. Retirement should be fun. It should be a time of renewal. It should be a time of reinvention, right? Get out there and make the 3 R's of your retirement the right 3 R's. You want them about renewal, rediscovery, and reinvention. And with that kind of an attitude, you can, in fact, pursue a life of dignity and a life of satisfaction. And I hope that that's something, I wish that for everybody here on the podcast tonight, in our audience. I wish that you all enjoy a wonderful retirement life. I'm living proof it can be done. And it is, how many people have said, gosh, I'm busier now than I was ever before. I don't know how did I work all those years? Right. But it is fun. Stay active, stay busy. Don't vegetate in front of that television. Goodness no.
Ooh, it's terrible.
Yes.
Say, Susan, what are some of the simple, actionable steps you can take to start improving their financial health?
Oh boy, that is a great question. Start by budgeting. Get a budget, get a plan in place. The old story of the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. It's today. Okay. It's now.
No better time.
Get a budget in place and work with somebody like Money Coach Mary or Money Coach David or Susan. And, our job is to help you find a way through to your retirement life by acknowledging some of the constraints you might have, like maybe you're 48 years old and oh my goodness, we have to have kind of an accelerated plan, or you have some circumstances in your life, maybe a special needs child or aging parents, whatever that is. Every person has a set of constraints in their life that will need to be measured and factored into that plan. But there's no reason to not have some kind of a plan. And certainly the financials are a big part of that.
True.
And ask for help.
Do you have a favorite client success story that showcases the power of financial coaching?
Yes. When I met this woman, she had been recently widowed in her 40s. Her husband, she and her husband were in their 40s, and her husband had been a sailor, and he worked on aircraft carriers and was exposed to some pretty toxic substances during his young work life. Well, he died at the age of 42, leaving his wife and 2 young daughters, and it was crisis time for them.
Yeah.
And she admitted it. Now, the good news is they did have life insurance. They did have VA benefits.
Good.
Thank goodness for the VA and our military services taking care of our soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen. And so they had enough money to live pretty successfully for the first couple of years. And she admitted to me when we first met, I spent the first year in a fog, which one can easily appreciate,
absolutely.
right? Spending a lot of time between grief and, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've got to raise these little girls and so on. But with the help of family and the financial stability that they had, she was able to at least put one foot in front of the other for the first year. I came along in the second year, and we started working on, okay, what do we have? And we spent several weeks just laying it all out, financial, physical, emotional, and we talked about everything to the point where we were almost interacting like girlfriends as opposed to a client and professional relationship, because she found that a satisfying part of the relationship. And about a year into it, oh gosh, not even, she had this transformation. And I would say she got her mojo back, meaning
Really?
she had this renewal in her that allowed her to reconnect with her personal energy, because she knew the girls were financially okay and emotionally coming around. And she was smart. She invested in counseling, personal counseling for herself and for her daughters, which was great. And so they've been able to wrestle with their own personal challenges, emotional challenges, while I helped her get the financial house in order. And she's now talking about opening up her own personal training studio and getting back into being a business owner. And I can't be happier for her. Really, that's the win for me, is seeing somebody succeed at their own life after such a devastating loss.
Yeah.
And here she has, another 30, 40 years to go in her life. And she's climbing her way back on top. So that's my favorite.
Powerful.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, this has been powerful. We just want to let everybody know. We like to make 3 announcements. And first of all, we have a free community that's for all coaches, and you will want to be involved in that. Now, the community is growing, and it is becoming better and better every moment. So you will want to join that and be part of it. The link is in the description below, so make sure you check it out. We have some great things. Just to let you guys know, we have an absolute CRM, which is phenomenal. It's an all-in-one system that brings everything all together. Now, we have a program that's it's called a professional package that gives you, it's a Mac Daddy everything. It gives you everything. That's going away at the end of the year. So make sure you check it out. And if that's something you want, make sure you join in, because I'm going to tell you, once you join in, you have it for life. But it will not be available for purchase after the beginning of the year. So you will want to take upon that. After the beginning of the year, you're only going to be able to get the core and then have to add other things onto it. So you won't get the Mac Daddy no more. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you check it out and get right in it, because it's going away, and that is the Mac Daddy. And then we also like to make another mention. First of all, Wednesday next week, we have a Q&A for marketing. You will want to attend that, because every single person that shows up is going to get a special gift. You will want to be there. I'm just going to hint, be there or be square. You definitely want to be there. And that's also going to produce into this same show next week. We're going to be giving out a special reward for every single person that shows up next week. So make sure you're there. Our goal we're shooting for, we want more than 25 people on this episode next week live. because some of the things we're giving stuff away, and we want to give you free stuff.
Who likes
Also,
free?
that's right. Also, we appreciate Susan being here. And Susan, you have an announcement?
Yes, I'm happy to. Take on any feedback or that you care or questions that you have afterwards. You can reach me at Susan, SUSAN, at pathfinder-coach.com. And I'd love to hear
The
from
email
you.
is in the description below.
Perfect. Thank you. I look forward to it. And I'm so glad. Thank you so much, David and Mary, for this fabulous opportunity.
You're welcome.
Coaching is a blast, and it is just some of the most satisfying interactions I've ever had the opportunity to experience in this retirement life. And although one doesn't have to be retired, many people
Right.
do. This is a full-time pursuit.
Mhm.
But thank you for inviting me, and look forward to seeing everybody at our regular meetings next Wednesday, in fact, in particular.
That was
Any
great to
final
have you,
words?
Susan. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We thank everybody for showing, and like Mary always says,
Just do the dang thing.